all in. Something along those lines. Yeah, two great players. Elazer really kind of known for taking down Korean Zergs at times in kind of big events. He was the first foreign player to beat Dark, for example. SC2's a Katowice champion. It's a great ZVZ. We're going to start it off in the bottom left. It is our red Zerg player from Team Liquid, Elazer.
And his opponent from South Korea in the opposite corner of Ancient Cistern, he is soO.
I was super impressed with soO in that first round against Ryung. He really just took advantage of every lead in that first game, just got super ahead, denied all the harassment, and just ended the game. And the second game just sort of said as well, hey, look, I'm capable of just kind of defending, holding on, and then taking it when I see my opportunity. And in ZVZ specifically, I think that's a very important skill to have, right? Being able to say, hey, this is my moment, this is my timing, let's go and attack. So I'm excited to see what kind of builds we get. We start on Ancient Cistern. Pretty big map, fairly standard layout, but quite long to go across.
soO already had a chance as well to practice some of that Roach Ravager mid-game that we see all the time in ZVZ. Obviously, then it was against a Terran player. This time around, it's going to be against a Zerg, but the build order is not that much different. We'll have to see, of course, if we're heading in that direction as the early game in ZVZ. Let's just say it can be rather explosive, right?
Yes.
The game can end very quickly. The guys on the desk were certainly right, though. We haven't seen that many Zerg versus Zergs recently. Once upon a time, we saw them all the time, but these days, I mean, the last time I think I saw Elazer play must have been at Home Story Cup.
Home Story Cup?
Yeah, and back then, he was refusing to make Evo chambers. Remember that? He was just...
Yeah, I do
He was
remember
just skipping the Evo chamber entirely, and everyone was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he just like, you just build roaches, man. It's like, yeah, but the Evo chamber upgrades the roaches. Yeah. No, just build roaches. And it was working, right? He took down...
Yeah.
Did he take down soO then with the no Evo chamber?
He took down some really good players, and he's like, yeah, but then I have 2 more roaches, so my attack will be a little bit stronger.
I have 2 more roaches. My roaches might die faster, but I have 2 more, so outsmarted our brains. As we have ourselves the ZVZ then obviously taking a pretty standard route early. Both players opened hatchery first. The Ling speeded within a few seconds of each other. We're not seeing any immediate indication of either player saying, hey, look, I want to be aggressive over here or there. That's maybe going to come further down the line, maybe close to Ling speed. We'll see who the aggressor becomes, who makes more Zerglings initially, who tries to be the defender and hold with less, with a better economy. They're both moving out to take a third base as well. So it's none of that kind of, I mean, would have been weird here, but like cancel Ling speed, straight a lair, kind of play like fast roaches. This is just going to be Ling speed, third hatch, probably a Bane nest on both sides as well.
Yeah, even though Zerg versus Zerg early game is very aggressive, these top-level players already were very good at defending early game cheese, and well, with the new multiplayer balance patch, the people on the desk already brought it up. The drones are a little bit easier to control. The maps are also rather big. I'm not expecting a ton of early game cheese in this particular series, but we'll see.
Elazer slightly safer. The Baneling Nest a little bit earlier here, so just being cautious. He's been behind a drone or 2 here. Now he's ahead by 1, right? So we're still just kind of, trading very small advantages back and forth through this early game. And this Ling speed, as it finishes up for both sides, we'll obviously be able to go in and, get some Lings on the map, but neither player really made a bunch of Lings. Like, there's 8 on the way for Elazer. That's really the first surge, and can you really call 8 or 10 a surge? Like, yeah, it's a few, but probably not going to get too much done. Would be hard to imagine soO having trouble with these.
Yeah, you're almost forced to make a couple of Zerglings in the early game just on the off chance that your opponent is making a lot. So it's a little bit tricky. He's going to be using them offensively, but I'm assuming he's going to make drones behind, and that's exactly what we see queued up right now on that production tab. soO's, of course, going to have to respond with some of his own units as well, and so far he doesn't have too much. Losing this queen, maybe he sent the Lings across in a pattern that the Overlords didn't see.
Yeah, this was kind of a great catch, right? I mean, a queen just out on its open, that's way more than I thought these first few Lings would do, right? I thought they were going to get, maybe a little bit of damage, but that would be about it. This is great. You get a queen, you slow down inject on that third base, and that can slow your opponent down, as we now see some diversity coming in at this game. Roachron versus a lair, and it is a Roachron from Elazer as well, but he's prioritizing that lair, and there's, of course, an upgrade from soO, and we haven't seen an Evo chamber from Elazer, so it was good to bring up the fact that Elazer does like to build that kind of non-Evo kind of style.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe soO was going to go for the +1 carapace. I know historically he's been a big fan of that big Roach Ravager Ling Bane all-in. but apparently in this game he's going to go for the missile upgrade, so it means he's unlikely to make that move. Now, a couple of banelings here on the right side of the map as well as on the left side. They could actually catch the drone transfer.
Oh, that's really nice. And soO just doesn't see it, so he doesn't split or anything, right? And there's actually these 2 more banelings, and soO saw this a little bit too late. Elazer, he kind of went towards the queen, still gets 3 more. That's 7 drones killed. He's up in workers right now, and he's in a position where he takes 2 more gases, he starts roach speed. He's pretty much ready to start pumping roaches and to hit hard, while obviously soO's going to be relying more on that upgrade. I love this for Elazer. It feels like he's set up to, you know, in a minute and a half, just hit like 6:30, 7 minutes. I really feel like Elazer's going to have an army that soO can't really cope with.
Yeah, you know what you don't need with that army? Plus one. You can just stick around on mass roaches, and I think that's the plan. I think you're right. I think what he's going to do is just line up a timing attack as soon as Glio Reconstitution, the roach speed upgrade, finishes up. You can see it on the production tab. It's about a third of the way done. I expect we're going to see, well, maybe a Zergling run by attempted at least, but I suspect we're going to see a big attack as soon as that upgrade finishes.
soO is doing the right things, right? He's building roaches now. He's gotten just a bit of a worker lead, and he's focusing on unit production. It's just a question of, can his unit production be enough? This one link from Elazer scouting, trying to make sure nothing weird is going on. And these banelings from soO important as well. He wants to clean out that Ling front line initially, and if he can do that, he'll have much easier access to the roaches of Elazer, and that's going to be necessary for that +1 missiles to really come into effect. But soO's building some more drones, and that is scary, because that's the last thing I feel like he needs to do. As we're going to see from Elazer's first-person view here, his setup to get aggressive, his roaches are waiting to make a move across the map.
Yeah, I wonder if soO is even thinking about taking a 4th base as well, because I wouldn't be too surprised if you're making this many drones. He might be misreading it a little bit. That being said, Elazer also follows this up with some workers, but now you see that big red blob moving on the mini-map. That is Elazer getting across the map with all of his army. And it's a huge army, at least compared to soO. He's almost, well, like 25 supply ahead.
soO needs to get rid of Overlord speed. That's not going to do anything for him here, right? This is all about this right now, and he's down 11 roaches. Yes, +1 missiles is nice, but not when you get outnumbered this heavily. He has no links to tank, and Elazer just comes straight into this base, and he's just going to get such a head start on this. And of course, then you're going to have that situation where you just got soO constantly making units that are going to spawn in different places. They're not all going to come joined in together. These banelings haven't been used, as Elazer's been good with the lings on the left side, keeping them back. And Elazer's getting a great trade so far, up 20 army supply here for game number 1. And it has just been a game of Elazer this far, and it looks as though it may end that way as well, as soO's reinforcements again so far not quite cutting it. I like that the Banes get in the middle of the roaches, but is it going to be enough? I don't think so. Yeah,
excellent zoning right there with the Zerglings as well. Now they're running on over into the 3rd base mineral line. soO might be able to stabilize. That's mostly because Elazer's reinforcements take a long time to get across the map. He's going to be able to stabilize, but with a very significant disadvantage. That said, soO does have that upgrade lead. So if these armies somehow, some way manage to max out, if we manage to get to 200 supply in total, soO is going to have a small edge, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Elazer is going to hit again before we ever get to that point in the game.
At least Elazer does go +1 missiles behind this, right? So he is going to follow up with the upgrade, so it's going to even out at some point for a few moments. Maybe soO then gets +2, but obviously that's way better than +2 versus +0. So Elazer has that in his favor. I honestly think he's just going to overwhelm with the next attack. He's going to have the burrow and the movement as well, so he can reposition more easily. He can catch soO off guard. So even if soO tries to take advantage of a great defensive posture and, you know, watching for Elazer's movement, soO can't afford to have overseers on every entry to his side of the map, so he doesn't necessarily know where the burrowed roaches are going to move to. It's going to take a little bit of luck and a lot of skill for soO to defend this, and even then I don't think it's necessarily possible if Elazer just executes correctly.
Yeah, and that's a very good point you bring up, actually. soO might be a little bit... Well, now he's no longer scared. I was going to bring up Mutalisks because he doesn't know too much about what's happening on the other side of the map. Now he sees this gigantic army moving out once again, and the supply count, well, it's reflecting the advantage that Elazer has at this point. Killing the 4th hatchery as well, by the way, so that is not a cancel. That's 300 minerals plus the cost of the drone down the drain. And this is before Tunneling Claws finishes up, which... well, we'll allow him to tunnel those roaches on the ground as well and harass in multiple areas at once if he wants to.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, Elazer's maxed out realistically. You said it. If this gets maxed out, maybe it's good for soO, right? So Elazer shouldn't really be wanting to wait. He wants to make a move sooner rather than later. He's postured to do so. I'd like to just see him make it. Obviously, he's getting these couple of roaches in position. He's going to get ready to execute this attack. And, well, like I say, soO can't afford to have overseers everywhere. It's not been that kind of a game. He doesn't have that luxury. This fourth base should be, if not cancelled immediately, somewhere you have to defend. That's going to pull the units out elsewhere. soO's supply blocked as well, as now Elazer's attacking on the right side. He's in the mineral lines as well, as you can see on the picture-in-picture. So drones will start to drop. And this is just going to be Elazer starting to take fights all over that I don't think soO can keep up with.
Elazer also started up a Hydro Den already, so he can transition away if he needs to, but I think this may very well be the game-winning push, although he needs to win the fight first. He gets the wraparound on the Roaches and the Ravagers, more importantly, and, well, with them going down, I just don't see exactly what soO is going to be able to do in this game to get back into it. The Roaches are also harassing the mineral lines in both the natural and the main. Absolute disaster in game number 1 for soO.
Combination of soO just didn't have the units, and then you're the defender and you're being pulled everywhere, so you have to react to everything, whereas Elazer's like, oh, I've already got this set up. I'm just going to leave those roaches and forget. Meanwhile, soO still had to find a response on the left side, on the right side, and so these roaches have just done so much. Obviously, 30 workers killed. This one is right in its own ending, and Elazer is comfortably in the lead. Plus 2 missiles about to finish up, so he'll only be down a Carapace upgrade as well, so he does have that coming in just in case, but again, at any point, I feel like we're ready for an Elazer fight. That's going to close out game number 1, and it's kind of a simple game for Elazer, right? You know, some Lings got a queen initially, and he just got set up to be aggressive in the way that we know Elazer likes to be, and soO just wasn't ready on time. That extra round of drones may be hurting him a bit too much, and now Elazer is here with a good portion of his army trying to fight against this. He still has a whole chunk to the left side that's about to hit the natural, so even if this looks okay for soO, it's because this is happening, and if you say goodbye to that Roach Roaring, well, then you're not going to have many roaches, are you?
GG is called, and Elazer wins game number 1 in this best-of-3 series very dominantly.
Yes, I think convincing through and through. He played his own game. He played the style that we expect Elazer to. He brought it up just before we started, not getting the upgrade straight away, and I think that's going to catch soO a little bit off guard there, right? Because soO did make those few extra drones, and it's nice to have a bit of a worker lead, but it would have been so much better for him to just have enough roaches to hold, because then you're already ahead in the upgrade. You don't necessarily need a worker lead in that scenario because you're ahead in tech. So, yeah, unfortunately for soO, gets caught a little off guard there, not quite ready. Early game was a little bit disadvantaged, losing the queen, for example.
Yeah, I wonder how these Zerglings got across the map, because it was only about 10 links, maybe 12 Zerglings in total at that point in the game for Elazer. And I think they must have come across the map without an Overlord seeing it.
Yeah.
Obviously, these maps are still quite new. Like we already heard, apparently ZVZ is not the most practiced matchup right now, so there's a chance that maybe Elazer, he sent them in a strange pattern towards the other side of the map, but it honestly looked to me like, yeah, he just sent them straight across.
Yeah, and soO just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
It's just,
And then obviously the Banelings as well, right? Let's not forget about the Banelings. 2 of them on the right side, 2 of them on the left side. It's honestly a classic.
Yeah.
Trying to sneak those into the mineral lines, and
the thing is as well, soO was kind of defended from Banes running into the natural. He had the wall, but then the drones just transferred in that moment, and obviously you lose 7 drones. That's what allows Elazer to really decide, hey, I can probably kill you, right? 7 drones, killed a queen. In ZVZ, you know, you pile on aggression behind that. And even on a bigger map, you know, if this was a shorter map, I think Elazer wins much more quickly because you just get back with reinforcements so soon. But obviously in this game, you do have a bit longer to go, and that's why it dragged out a little bit. But Elazer was able to do enough initially that he had time to kind of build up again, go for a second round, even getting further upgrades and more ways to harass.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of how explosive early game ZVZ is, right? And how that early game result really carries into the mid game as well.
This offense stat, I do love it, because like this is what's so cool about the players voting on this, because they know the other players well, right? And you like, to me, this just says it. Like, these are 2 offensive players, and what do we see? A very aggressive game, very offensive game.
Yeah, soO didn't really get a chance, I guess, to be aggressive. He would have liked to.
Yeah, exactly.
In ZVZ, if you can, you pretty much always prefer being the aggressor. But yeah, Elazer looking incredibly dominant there in game number 1. But I mean, it's because of those small mistakes, those split-second decisions that soO messed up in the early game. And yeah, from there on out, the match lasted like another 10-15 minutes or so. And yeah, he just was behind right from the get-go. Makes it very difficult to come back. We'll see what he does in game number 2.
We will indeed. Obviously, I think it'd be cool for soO if he got the opportunity to be the aggressor, right? If he can take the game into his own hands. Because then, if that's where you're most comfortable and your opponent's most comfortable, you're putting your opponent into their, you know, not comfortable position. But how early do you attack then, right? How early is too early? Is like a gas pool kind of opening too soon? Is that something that just doesn't get enough done?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's honestly, with this new patch, I don't think the super early game cheese is going to be that great. But we'll have to see exactly what happens here at IEM Katowice over the next couple of days. Game number 2 of this best of 3 series is going to be on the map Grassvan. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, we have Elazer.
And in the bottom right-hand side from the Kwangdong Freaks, this is soO. Interesting map for ZVZ because it has that potential with a lot of bases to be split map, but there is kind of like pathways here where you can go quite aggressively third base to third base, and that can obviously be very interesting for roach pushes and reinforcements and all of that.
That forward base, right? So you have like that bottom right corner, like the top left hand corner, you have this like quadrant of like 5 bases you can relatively easily take. I wonder what the expansion patterns are going to be. So you have the one right over here, which is very likely to take one, but if you go a little bit south from this position, you have a base. I'm into one a little bit. There you go, to the right. This base is very far forward, but if you do want to go for aggressive pushes, it is a location that is playable because it's not the most difficult area to wall off. It's an interesting position, though. I think as we... Obviously, the maps are still very new, but as we see more and more games being played on these maps, I can imagine that these forward bases are going to be more and more prevalent. We see them already quite a bit in the Terran versus Zerg matchup, where Terrans are getting them relatively early. But yeah, we'll see what it's going to be like in ZVZ.
I'm excited, man, because this is the tournament where we're going to see what people have planned for these maps, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's all well and good, like, haven't seen them in these open cups and everything. We've known about them for a while.
I haven't seen Maru or Sero or any of the top dogs really participate that much.
And even, like, you know, a lot of the guys that do play the open stuff a lot, you know that they've got certain things on some of these maps which they are keeping back ready for when they need it most. And, you know, for these players, the round of 36 is a massive day. Their first goal has to be group stages. And so matches like this, you win this, right? And you're 1 match away. You're 1 best of 5 compared to that lower bracket grind. So already, maybe we start to see some things where it's like, hey, look, Grassvan, ZVZ, this is what I've been thinking. This is what I've been kind of, you know, conspiring to do for the last few weeks since these maps have gone live.
All right, so far, once again, very standard build orders. soO a little bit late right there on the metabolic boost, so I thought for a second he had something spicy planned. But he just, for some reason, decided to start it up at 108 gas rather than at a conventional 100. I do expect we're going to be seeing third bases here out of both players very shortly. At least we have the, we have the third base already going down for soO. Elazer sending his just a tad later.
Elazer was minorly more conservative last game initially. That earlier Baneling Nest came in just a few moments before soO's did, about 20 seconds, I want to say. So it's going to be the same case here. The first Baneling Nest of the game is Elazer. So just again, a bit of conservative because he's probably a bit worried. What if soO is going to get aggressive? Because soO can do that. And it's not a massive difference, but it's just those little inclinations of maybe what then happens next and what each player expects from the other.
I love how the Zerg versus Zerg matchup in general is incredibly cheesy, incredibly aggressive until like top 50 Grandmaster. There's a certain cutoff where suddenly all of those early game cheeses can be held. But it only really happens with like the top 0.001%.
It's like the micro requirement, right? Just to hold these all off. It's like all of a sudden, like, you just got to be able to control the Ling Bane to this level. And that's a fast Roach run from Elazer this game. You could maybe go something more like Roach Ling Bane aggression and just hit with no lair tech, a big all in at a certain timing, maybe try and again get onto that forward base nice and quickly. So something we could potentially see from Elazer already. soO, droning, Evolution Chamber, again, he's definitely, you know, eyeing up more of a macro game. Important if this Ling gets to see the Roach Roar, and as he tries to dance around for it, soO doesn't see it, but he's like, Elazer, buddy, what the heck are you hiding from me?
Yeah, he saw the second gas geyser, and he didn't see drones mining there. So the weird part is he didn't see any drones back and forth. Yeah, he didn't see that one, but why would there not be any workers going back and forth between that? There is a small chance that he realizes that this is indeed the second gas. But you gotta really, you gotta be thinking at this point in order to. I guess he could have clicked it to see how much gas was remaining.
Yeah, I think soO maybe onto him a little bit, right? He's building a carapace upgrade, sure, but he's also getting his own roach run. He's not gone super crazy on the drones. He's sticking at 46, which is just beyond 2 base saturation, despite having his third hatchery. He's ready to start making roaches here. Not as many as Elazer, but he will be able to get a few going. As Elazer is just going to double down and stick to this attack. Roaches are built and Ling's on the way. He's morphing some Banes across the map as well, and soO now will confirm Roaches are coming, and it's going to be time for soO to get all defenses ready. Wouldn't mind a Spine Crawler or so. I think he can probably get away with keeping the carapace upgrade, but we'll see if he wants to. At this point, I guess he may as well, because it's probably a bit too late. The spine starts now. I mean, this is the thing. This map's actually pretty quick to come across. Elazer is on soO's base.
Yeah, when both players take these start bases, it is indeed a pretty quick rush, all things considered. You do have a pretty good wraparound here from soO, trying his best to negate as much of that roach damage as possible. Zerglings, they're being hunted by Banelings, but in the end, they do stay alive for a while. Reinforcements, though, from Elazer are finally coming across the map, and he's absolutely crushing it.
It's the Ling-Bane difference, right? Because the Banes push back the Lings of soO, and now the Lings of Elazer tank. So even though the roach number is even, it's basically unfair, because soO can't actually hit the roaches of Elazer, and that means Elazer can just swarm here, and he's killed 10 drones already.
Yeah, and look at the +1 carapace upgrade. Again, Elazer refusing to get Evo Chamber upgrades. I mean, that upgrade is going to kick in after the fight.
Yeah. I thought soO could have maybe cancelled out. I was like, actually, I think he might be okay, but actually he was just not ready. Maybe if he had a spine keeping the carapace is okay, but the carapace is like the gas for like 6 more roaches or something, you know, which is a big deal in these scenarios. Now you've got this spine crawl that's trying its best to burrow Elazer. We'll get onto that soon. Oh, he just ignores it and goes over to the roaches. That makes sense as well, but he is kind of out of roaches. He's got 1 Ravager left. It's just the Lings, so this is where it kind of slows down for Elazer, and you've got to ask, was it enough? He is making another round of roaches. They will just take a little longer to reinforce, as he will lose his last Ravager here. I imagine those Lings will go hunting at some point. Go, chase him, get him. They got him.
They got him. It's 100 minerals, 100 gas. Not bad at all.
Expensive, man, a Ravager.
Elazer, though, is going to continue this aggression for a little while longer, and soO is trying to sneak out a couple drones. I saw 2 on the production tab, then I think he added on like 4 more. I don't hate it, but you gotta be so careful. I don't know if he realizes that there's a huge army, once again, knocking on his front door. Okay, that one Overlord does spot the reinforcements coming in. I think those Banelings are gonna go straight onto the spine.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that the spine got to survive for this phase, as I don't like those Banes being over there. They should have been towards other Banelings. It's just gonna allow Elazer to come up very, you know, unhindered, and he's actually gonna send those Banes trying to find a mineral line. But again, he just has the Ling advantage, right? So he has the Lings to tank, and that goes a long way. His Banelings connected on the Lings of soO there once more, and that is just making the world a difference right now, as these roaches will surround and they'll take good trades once again. It has just been a difference of Zerglings, and Elazer's been able to put his Lings and the Banes he's had to much better use than what soO has found.
And this time around, he is droning behind it, so I thought this push was maybe a bit of an overextension from Elazer, but he manages to deal a bunch of damage. Once again, trade armies here. Now he's got that economical advantage. He started up the lair, and now he's going into the +1 Evo. I like how 12 years of StarCraft 2, right? 12 years, give or take. We've decided that apparently, yeah, maybe the Evo Chamber that we've been playing over the last decade wasn't necessarily the best timing. It's one of the first 4 structures or whatever you put down in ZVZ. The Elazer's like, nope, that's not actually what you need in the early game.
I do think this is scary for soO, right? Because you don't know what's going on either, right? He has no info that Elazer's droning until an attack doesn't come. So you're kind of gambling, and he kept on making units to the point where I'm almost like, maybe we should just go and attack soO. And I don't think it would work, but now you've made a bunch more units, and now you're like, oh, he's not coming again, is he? But you've already been about 20 workers behind, and now you're having to play the catch-up game on workers, and he will get there. But this minute or so, maybe 2, of this income advantage for Elazer just means the next army with +1 missiles is going to be overwhelming. And even Elazer's like, man, you made a lot of units. I'm going to build spines to make sure I don't die, because he probably feels that that was soO's best opportunity as well.
soO has still not scouted it, by the way. So soO is just flipping a coin right now and crossing his fingers, hoping that there's not going to be another big push here. Because there's a chance, of course, that Elazer has been making units for the last, well, 3 minutes.
Yeah, the problem is he flipped the coin, and first time it came out heads, so he kind of built units, and then he flipped again. He's like, oh, tails, so he started droning. That's the problem. Like, I would have just liked him to be all in on one or the other. Build drones and hope he's not attacking, or build units and go if he doesn't attack, right?
No, I think you're spot on with that. So now suddenly Elazer has got the economical advantage, he's got the upgrade advantage, he's got basically every advantage that you can hope for. He's got a massive army as well, and I think we're once more going to see him moving out here momentarily. He might wait until, once again, that roach speed upgrade is done, just like we saw in the previous game, but I think Elazer must be feeling pretty comfortable. That being said, though, the advantage this time around is not as significant as we saw in the previous match. Elazer thinking the same thing, too, and he decides to go for a 4th base, and we see the same thing already happening down at the 6 o'clock position.
Elazer is going to push with roach speed, and I think that's going to be very tough for soO because he just had that period of being so far behind in economy, and he'll have roach speed versus no roach speed when he attacks, so it's going to be a bit hard for soO to get in defensive position. The Ling run by is nice, and he does get in the main, but so far Elazer defended it well, and it doesn't look like he's going to do much, and soO's 4th base attempt looks as though that's going to be denied. I feel like he could have easily got that cancelled. No?
Yeah, if he clicked it, he would have, but obviously he's a little concerned about the Zergling run by, which he did clean up brilliantly. I'm assuming he's going to go back in for more here in just a moment, though. Roach speed is finishing up. It's going to be quite a bit behind for soO, so there's going to be about another 30 seconds or so where I think Elazer is going to have a shot. I'm assuming he's going to push with the main army, like you brought up, but so far,
I think he's just getting roach speed right now. He's just going to go. He's going to kill an overlord as he goes. That actually would have supply blocked soO as he missed one of the biles. But yeah, I mean, you're pretty much maxed out. Again, there's just no reason to wait. It was the same in the last game. There's no reason to hang around, because one way you let soO back in is you let him max out, and he's got a carapace upgrade over you for a little bit or something, right? In we go. Elazer's going to attack in, and obviously soO has not had time to prepare defenses like spine crawls, or the money to, quite frankly, as the Roach Ravager comes on into this, and this is, in theory, going to be a very good fight from Elazer. We'll see if soO's defensive position can allow him to hold on. He does come in from the back with a few Roaches, which is a cute move, and if he gets on top of the Ravagers, then we love that, but it's just taken him way too long, and the supply is already cascading into Elazer's favor.
Yeah, a lot of drones have gone down as well in the meantime, so even if these armies just trade out at this point, it's a gigantic advantage here for Elazer, who's now also killed his opponent's 3rd hatchery, but he is smelling blood. He wants to win this game right here, right now, and with it, the best of 3 series. I think he's going to be able to get his wish as well. I mean, he's just producing more and more Roaches, significant economical advantage, and well, when you're both making the same units and you have the eco advantage, obviously you're going to end up with a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say, right? The game has been played, and this is very much so a case of Elazer just going to go one more time, and then soO's going to be like, yeah, okay, you got a little bit too much for me, and then tap out. And soO, of course, will be taking a trip down to the lower bracket, and Elazer looking to try and get into that, you know, playoff match and that group stage opportunity. Say playoff match, I mean the qualifying match for the group stages, and very doable side of the bracket, I would say, for him as well. You know, his CVP is pretty good, and he's got Classic on Nightmare next. I feel like that's a very winnable match, so great day so far from Elazer getting it done. And this Roach Ravager force, obviously, again, overwhelming. As we mentioned a couple of times, Elazer's very far ahead, and these attacks are rounding out this series.
All right, so there it is. A 2-0 win for Elazer.